Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, night, good day to you, depending where you are in the world. We are live in London and it is evening. It's approaching 8 o'clock in the evening here live in London. I'm doing my evening devotion. It comes from Lift Him Up. Today's title is Obeying God's Law. The scripture reading comes from Deuteronomy 4, verses 7 and 8. For what nation is there so great who have God so nigh unto them, as the Lord our God is in all things that we call upon him for? And what nation is there so great that have statutes and judgments so righteous as all this law, which I set before you this day? Concerning his commandments, God declared through Moses to his people, keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations. The precious instruction that the Lord gave to his people from Mount Sinai was carried to them all through their wilderness wandering, and was repeated by them wheresoever they encamped. God designed that they should give to the surrounding nations a representation of him and of his law by the words they would speak and in a variety of other ways. On many occasions, as they met the people who knew not God, they exalted their leader as a great and holy being whom all should always honor and respect and reverence. The surrounding nations were to become acquainted with the exalted principles of the God-given laws that the leaders were educating the people to observe. Then, instead of demeriting the people thus instructed, they would regard the observance of these laws as a proof that this was a people peculiarly blessed indeed among the nations. Another remarkable exhibition to the nations round about was a perfect order observed in the camp of the Israelites. They could see the cloud hovering over the place where the tabernacle was to be pitched. They observed the priests and other appointed agencies going about their special work, each one doing the part assigned him in the work of preparing the camp for the night. No one did anything that someone else should do. Whoever would have tried to do another man's work would have suffered the death penalty. Each one attended to his special duty. In the erecting of the tabernacle, part fitted to part, and the house of the Lord was set up with beautiful precision. Not a word was spoken, not an order given excepting by the one in charge. No one was confused. Everything was put together in accordance with the similitude shown to Moses in the mount. Everything connected with the pitching of the camp was an object lesson to the children, schooling them in habits of precision and carefulness and order. The children that were old enough were required to learn how to pitch the tents in which they lived and to observe perfect order in all that they did. Constantly, they were obtaining an education in regard to heavenly things. Constantly, the parents were explaining to their children why the Israelites were traveling in the wilderness, why the law was given at Sinai, and what they expected to do and to be when they reached the land of promise. That is simple I mean, granted, they were out in the wilderness, so they didn't have the whole world of distractions going on. But when they're pitching the tent, each one doing the part assigned to them. No one did anything that someone else should do through penalty of death, which obviously wouldn't really probably occur today, but that was then, and that was an object lesson to teach them. Each one attended to his special duty in erecting the tent. Part fitted to part. It was precise. Not a word was spoken. No order given other than the one in charge. Imagine that huge courtyard and tent. Everything was done in silence. Everyone knew what they had to do. No one was confused. Everything was put together in accordance with what Moses had shown. And then the children, this was an object lesson to the children, how everything and everyone was at putting the tent, the sanctuary, the tabernacle together. And then when they were old enough or big enough, they would know how to do the tent themselves. And this is children learning how everything has its perfect order. I mean, it's so simple. And I was about to say we make it so complicated, but it's not necessarily us. Well, it is us because we allow ourselves to be distracted. We allow ourselves to be diverted. Life is very simple. Life is that very simple if you remain focused on the right things. I know God needs to help me, and I pray He helps you too.